all right, the low country, and to just up and go to Africa because we have a president that's an absolute imbecile now, at least for the next 4 years, which I question that. I do believe at some point in the next 4 years, Donald Trump's going to do something to get himself impeached, okay? But that's neither here nor there. So you're not going to Africa. We're not going to Africa. Here's the thing about it, and you'll listen to the Doug Stewart Show. As shocked and appalled as I was last night in watching this election coverage and ultimately seeing Donald Trump become president-elect of the United States of America, man, as black people, man, we've been through a whole lot worse. What we're doing right now is speculating how bad it's going to be, but we've been through a whole lot worse. Tiffany Sports and Heels posted something in the chat room, man. And I'm looking for it right now, but I can't find it. But she posted something in the chat room. Was it Tiffany Sports Heels? No, it was Tiffany the Poodle in Portland. But she listed all of these things that black people have overcome, man, since we've been here, man. And this is no different. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Yes, it's very troubling. It's very troublesome. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. And this is kind of like a motivational speech to y'all, man. It's kind of troubling to think that reasonably intelligent people would vote into office for president to run the free world, a man who has insulted every group of people that you can think of, that has absolutely no political background at all, has never held any public office at all. His temperament is probably the worst of any person that you've ever seen hold public office. He has no idea, no concept of foreign policy, and he's 70 years old. Okay? This is the oldest person to come into office out of any president elected ever. It's very troubling to think that smart, reasonably smart, intelligent people could vote that guy in as president. But I'm here to tell you, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I mean, get those grandiose ideas out of your mind about some huge exodus back to Africa. I wish we could talk to them and try to figure out some type of, plan to do that, but that ain't going to happen. Just get that whole idea out of your mind. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And hey, listen, the people have spoken. We live in a democratic society, and as crazy as the whole thought is of Donald Trump being president, the people has spoken. Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States for the next 4 years. Supposedly. Once again, I don't think he'll complete the whole 4 years. It's just impossible. He will say something, he will do something that they have to take his ass out. Not literally, figuratively. They're going to have to take his ass out of office. That's what I mean. I didn't mean that he's going to get shot or something like that. I'm not saying that. As much disdain as I have for the guy, I don't wish anybody to die. But it's going to be okay. I actually went to bed around 1:30 last night. All the electoral votes, and I was watching CNN. All the electoral votes hadn't come in yet. But Trump held like a 30, maybe 50-point lead. It was kind of like 240 to 200 or something like that. And, I tried to listen as much as I can. And I said, you know what, I got to go to bed because I got to do this show tomorrow. And I definitely need to talk about this. And so I went to bed, and just like most of you did that went to bed and didn't see the actual, final results or see Trump get enough votes to be declared president-elect. You woke up this morning just like me, and you grabbed your phone, and you went to whatever news entity, and you just waited until it downloaded, and you wanted to see the headline. And so I went to CNN.com this morning at about 5:45, and the headline says, Donald Trump, president. And my head just dropped. my head just dropped, man. I mean, this is the most incredible story maybe of my lifetime. I mean, there's been a lot of big stories, obviously. 9/11. There's been a ton of big things that have happened in this country. But to think, and I can only imagine, I've said this a lot, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, I can only imagine what other countries are saying. Right now, the country's in economic turmoil, stock markets crashing all over the world. There's a lot of intrepidation about what this guy's going to do. What's his next move? I mean, the man's already said he's going to get, Mexico to build this wall. He's going to, extradite a lot of people out of this country. Legal aliens, I know they're on edge because they know their ass is gone. Donald Trump is probably, I just read a couple of days ago, is probably, I think that I had talked about 2 possibly, but there's a very good chance that he's going to be able to nominate 4 Supreme Court justices. Yeah, and that's really the bigger story out of this whole thing is Donald Trump, this guy, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, is going to probably be in position to nominate 3 Supreme Court justices, which will have a much longer effect on this country than his 4 years or however amount of time that he's going to be around. Yeah, they're the ones that are going to spell out policy, laws in this country for a long, long time. And we elected a guy and put him in charge of that decision-making on who's going to be the next 2, 3, 4 Supreme Court justices. It's very disappointing. The Republicans have control of Congress as well. So, there's going to be no filibustering. There's going to be no hurdles. It's not really going to be a lot of people that's going to step in his way because that's his party that he ran under. So it's going to be really no fundamental opposition. There's going to be opposition. There's going to be Democrats that are still holding office, but Congress right now is controlled by the Republicans. And then it's even more distressing when you find out later on that black voters in this country were down from 2012. How? How could that be? Did you not realize, I'm talking to the black people that didn't vote, did you not realize what was on the line as the things I just talked about over the last 10 minutes? Huh? You picked this time not to go out and vote? Really? Out of all times you pick not to vote, the numbers are saying right now, and I don't know if it's propaganda or whatever, the numbers are saying right now that black voting went down this election. I've heard several people today, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, and we combined 2 segments. This is one of the only times we've ever done this in the 2+ years we've been doing this show, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Donald Trump, some analysts figured out there was a separation of about 300,000 votes. Hillary Clinton still is probably, or she's in position to win the popular vote. All those numbers haven't come out yet. They haven't done all the poll, the tallying of the polls. But there's a very good chance that she's going to win the popular vote. And if you take some numbers away from certain states or add some to certain states, there's about a 200,000, 300,000 difference. I saw one analyst say this morning on CNN. And black people didn't go out and vote in the numbers that they did in 2012, just 4 years ago. And that whole thing about leaving the country, for asylum, and I gave you the definition of asylum, the protection granted by a nation to someone who has left their native country as a political refugee. That whole thing, once again, that's really where my mind was at last night. But then I thought about it as well, and that whole statement about this is what America really feels about black people. On the flip side of that, I say to myself, well, this is a country that also nominated President Obama for 2 terms. So I don't understand the the disconnect in voting in those particular 8 years or those 2 elections and now. But you have to temper your angst about this whole situation and say to yourself, well, America did elect Obama for 2 terms, so it can't be as bad as what we are making it out to be as far as the disdain for black people and brown people in this country. It can't be, right? Or am I not rationalizing that correctly? I don't know. Bottom line is, man, I really gave serious thought last night to going to Tanzania. But then I thought about it and I said, logistically, that's too big of an issue. We can't do that. That's not going to work. Donald Trump will be president supposedly for the next 4 years. And the biggest thing that comes out of this whole thing is he has the ability to probably nominate 4 Supreme Court justices. And ultimately, I wrap all that up and say to you, man, it's going to be all right. Come this far, find no fault. You remember that song from church? Feel like moving on. Oh, we come this far, find no. Remember that song? We done came this far, man. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You know, supposedly one of the great things about our government is we have this system of checks and balances in place. But as I mentioned 5 minutes ago, the problem with that is Congress right now is controlled by people that voted for Donald Trump. Let's hope that system of watching the different entities of government protect us from Donald Trump doing something stupid as hell. Or a lot of things stupid as hell. When we get back from the break, man, I'm going to read some of your messages in the chat room, man. We got some apropos music today. So don't go away, man. We're talking about it all day long, man. This is The People Show, The Doug Stewart Show. Back in 3 minutes. Don't go away.
Mic check. Yes, this is your humble host, Marcus Harper. And make sure you check out my show, The Marcus Harper Podcast, on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Yes, hop aboard this train of thought. Weekly, 60 minutes of work. I got you. Sports talk, soul beats, and life. Again, The Marcus Harper Podcast, weekly on the SME Network. Check me out. Life is good.
The Sleeper Pick. The guy only you believe in. In 1 week fantasy football on DraftKings, he can be the difference. So trust your gut. Trust your numbers. Trust your Uncle Vito if you want. But know this. That sleeper is out there. The question is, who's going to play him? This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time.
To create your account, click on the banner link on thedougstewartshow.com or the Doug Stewart Show app. Do you have your own radio show? Are you an artist or a DJ? BB Mobile Apps is the solution for you. They specialize in creating mobile apps for entertainers. That's right. You can have your own mobile app where your followers can hear your shows or music, watch your videos, and view all your social networks in one place. You can even make money with banner ads and send push notifications directly to your audience to make sure they get your messages. Everyone has their phones on them, right? A mobile app will add credibility to your brand because your content will be accessible to